Biathlon World Cups. This is day 3 of the competitions here and the first of the pursuit events. Apologies for joining the race a little late. We're going to catch up with the first shoot in this men's event, and then we'll do our introduction that was so carefully prepared, but we had to miss out because of the delay in Oberstdorf and the Nordic combined. That's the price we pay for going live, but we join it with Rojkov taking to lane 1 on shoot 1, and the winner of the sprint next door to him, Alexander Simon of Belarus. Andreas Bernbacher, lane 3, and then Vincent Defrain, the best of the French in the sprint 2 days ago, in lane 4. Good shooting from Rojkov. Mike, he hasn't missed a shot in the last 45 that he's had in World Cup competition, so he's absolutely red hot with the rifle at the moment. And Simon going pretty well, but thrown one wide, so 1 penalty loop for him.
Well, it is easier shooting conditions today, and so far only Rojkov to go the perfect 5 with 5.
A chance then for Ekhoff, but he's made his first mistake. You'd expect one of the 2 Russians to go clear, either Chepikov or Kruglov, but Chepi, the veteran, in fact, they're both throwing early shots wide, and the 2 Russians have some chasing to do. Hannevold, Wolf settling. Hannevold, as always, taking a long time to get the first round off, and he's missed with that. We thought the conditions were a little easier, Mike, but mistakes being made all over the place. Poiré also going wide.
Quite unbelievable. Hannevold has had a bad year. Frode Andersen, well, it's unusual to see there, 5 with 5, but he's the man to move forward.
Anderson, with a hit rate of 64% in the pursuits this season, has gone 5 out of 5 in the first shoot. Fischer of Germany, he'll be moving up through the order. A bad result in the sprint, and his teammate Rico Gross also going clear. Those 2 will move up close to the top 10. I think we'll see them feature on the second shoot.
It's an interesting aspect of the pursuit race. When you're chasing the leaders, you tend to over push yourself, and I think that's the reason today the wind flags are very calm, and that's why we're seeing relatively poor shooting.
Well, let's just recap on the situation, Mike. The sprint event 2 days ago, Alexander Simon of Belarus getting his first ever World Cup win. He started off. Rojkov soon overtook him. He only had a 6-second deficit to make up, and the Russian leading into the range for the first shoot. He looks in a very strong position, and as I mentioned, he's now hit 45 out of 45 shots over recent weeks, and he's had, what have his results been? 3rd, 1st and 2nd, and he's got the lead here, and it's quite a comfortable margin after that first shoot.
That is a comfortable margin. He's got a clear 35 seconds when he left the range, and you just get a feeling it's going to extend as we climb up the hill.
Here is Rojkov, this World Championship course in Pokljuka, used in 2001. That saw success for Russia as well, but with Pavel Rostovtsev going so well then.
And this is the top of the climb for the first time round. 5 times up this hill today, which is a testing prospect. 5 times 2.5 kilometre loop.
Interesting to see Fischer ahead of Raphael Poiré, Mike. That's the battle for the top of the World Cup standings at the moment. And Fischer with 13 points to make up on the Frenchman. So if Fischer can keep going the way he has done so far and get himself into the top 2 or 3 positions, then there is a chance that he will be in yellow again, because of course he was the man who started the season so well.
Indeed. Well, 4 years ago Fischer came through to take bronze medal in the World Championships on these tracks, so he must have a good feeling, moving up very fast.
Hannevold, right off form. What was his shooting result? The Norwegian, who is usually so reliable and will almost certainly be part of the Norwegian relay team. 3 misses on the first prone. You suspect something must have gone wrong there.
Quite unbelievable. And that's been Hannevold's weakness this whole season. His skiing is still the same, but he used to hit 90% of the prone targets. Now this whole season he's down to about 80%.
Now Sergei Rojkov settling for his second shoot in the prone position. Vincent Defrain, who incidentally has beaten Raphael Poiré in 5 of the last 7 races, so he'll be claiming that he's now the French #1, but I think Poiré may disagree with that. Now Rojkov, what can he do?
Rojkov, you just feel the focus, the determination in this man.
Oh, so he misses shot number 50, but still, he's got a sufficient margin to be able to hold off the chasing pack. Defrain alongside him, Frode Andersen. What an excellent start for Andersen. And Andy Bernbacher, who got on the podium for the first time 2 days ago, still in with a chance of repeating that achievement. Now, Andersen, if he can get a top 3, then I think the Norwegians will have to pick him for the sprint event in Hogfilsen in a couple of weeks' time. The first miss for Andersen. Defrain, solid as ever, gets 5 out of 5. Bernbacher throws one wide. So does Simon. Andersen, as we saw, one miss. Simon throws 2 away. What's going on with that second shoot?
Well, it's a big opportunity for Simon today, and to be leading the whole of the world out in this race, it tends to put, if you haven't been in this position before, it puts an extra pressure on you. I think that's what's his problem today.
Sven Fischer, another clear shoot, and he will be moving up through the order. We'll get an indication of his position very, very soon. But Fischer, who started in 11th, has got himself up to 5th. He's only 31 seconds down, having started 1:07, so he's gained 36 seconds in the first 5 kilometres. That's the sort of rate that will put him at the top of the pile at the end of the day. Roche and Gross, 10 and 11. Gross, Mike, starting to lose ground.
As usual, though, he's hit 10 with 10. Rico Gross, that's his strength. Best shot in the world throughout this season.
92 and 91, his hit rate in the prone and standing. Canard and Robert of France both go clear. Egil Kjelland, he has certainly got to put in a good run today. We'll have a talk about selections and team choices in just a moment. Further down, Wolfgang Rottmann, usually so strong with a prone, misses 1, but not as bad as Valiulin, who's racing for Belarus now. 3 misses for him. Chewed off the run, young Russian, 1 miss. But at the lead, here is Sergei Rozhkov, and, well, 1 penalty paid, and Vincent Defrain is right back on his tail.
Well, and Defrain appears as if he's on a mission to catch him up, and if he does, that will make life that little bit easier. You can draft down the long, long hill before the range.
What about skiing style of Defrain? Do you see a Poiré in there somewhere?
Oh, definitely. All the French, look at the steepness of this hill. All the French have modelled their technique of Poiré, and quite right too. It's the mastery of ski technique. There we are, we can see it. Maybe not quite as dynamic and aggressive at this point, but that's his race form.
Poiré not going too badly. Our late arrival to this race, but the live winter sports action really is such a packed programme that these problems are always going to arise. And with David Goldstrom at the Nordic World Championships, they're getting a little delay on the Nordic combined. Other news from Oberstdorf, Mike. The men's 15-kilometre yesterday. Big surprise with the 2 Italians getting first and second. But what about Lars Berger?
That was an amazing race, and he said it was the race of his life. Sadly, he was start number 63, I believe it was, and all the big names went at the back. And he fell. He fell on a fast downhill, losing, the coaches reckon, between 8 and 10 seconds. And he was only 5.5 seconds away from silver medal.
Well, it's not the first time we've seen Berger take a tumble, but having a chat to David Goldstrom afterwards, he thought that Berger certainly could have won that one. He was just 5 seconds off the lead. He's a fantastic finisher, but more of that later. Bjorn Dahlen coming back to race here in Pokljuka on Sunday, I should say, and Berger has been selected to stay at the Nordic World Championship, so maybe he can still get a medal. Now, the 2 leaders in this pursuit event side by side. This was their second prone shoot. Rozhkov on the right, Vincent Defrain totally focused on the left. Defrain went clear. Rozhkov missing 1 and slightly slower in the shooting, but no real significance there, just the fact that Rozhkov threw 1 wide and his 30-second lead being cut down to this, just 10 metres.
Well, look at this. Defrain hasn't been able to pick up on the drafting effect to tuck in behind Rozhkov, not quite able to pull back those 2 seconds. But Defrain looks very comfortable.
So in come the 2 leaders approaching the range for their first standing shoot. We could see things change here. Rozhkov recently has been in the better form standing-wise, but Vincent Defrain, if his confidence is high, which it should be after Thursday's result, then I think we could see Vincent Defrain come through.
Number 59, that's Bonaldi. He's about to be lapped. Might just make it into in fact, he comes around a little bit further before going into the range.
Nice, easy. Rojkov really easing off, and that's allowed Defrain to close down. That's an advantage to the Frenchman, who will get a slightly easier ride into the range. This is the chasing group, and my goodness, does it contain some of the world stars. Anderson is in there, Poiré is in there, Sven Fischer in that chasing group as well. Stian Eckhoff having another good run, Mike, 1-0 on the range so far, and if he can get the top 5, the Norwegian selectors will have to reconsider his position for the sprint event in the World Championships.
Indeed, they cannot ignore a great performance like this. 41 seconds only separating the top 10.
Now, first standing shoot, and Defrain and Rojkov certainly not on their own. Advantage Russia. Oh, they throw one wide at exactly the same time. I get the feeling that Rojkov's miss put Defrain off, so he's got one loop to do, and Vincent has 2. Frode Andersen missing his first 2 of the first 3 in the standing position. No change there. Poiré throwing one wide as well, and a chance for Stian Eckhoff to take the lead. 5 out of 5 for the Norwegian, and he goes through along with Krugloff and Chepikov and Fischer. It's all change at the front in the men's pursuit. Sensational stuff. Mistakes from the 2 leaders, so common, because that's where the real pressure is. But look at that group of 4 going out. I think they'll all be disappointed to see that the others aren't turning right onto the loop. Great stuff.
This is what makes the pursuit so exciting. And unfortunately, Frode Andersen has turned right for 3 penalty loops. He was setting the pace. His ski form is the best.
Sergei Chepikov with the lead as they come out, 21.25. The time, that's irrelevant. It's all about their preparation for the final shoot still to come. Andy Bernbacher has done well, Mike. He's only 15.6 off the pace, having had a poor start to this race with 2 misses in the first 2 prone, but he's gone clear on the standing, so still he's got a chance of finishing on the podium for the second race in succession. Poiré in there with the leaders. He's 21 seconds down, but I think he'll still fancy his chances, because the last shoot really is his forte.
Indeed. Well, looking at his performance in the 10 kilometre, he spent so much time in the stand shoot that it really did place him higher than his actual 9th on paper, and I felt he could win today. And 21 seconds, it's nothing. Poiré can still win this race. That's what he wants. He wants to establish himself once more, and in the final couple of days before the World Championships.
So here's the lead group, and Chepikov looking over the shoulder, just trying to assess the situation. Stian Eckhoff looks very comfortable in second. Sven Fischer, powerful as always, in 3rd position, and Nikolai Krugloff up there with the leaders. Rojkov's got back on terms with a quick penalty loop. Mike, he's just a little further back, but it is actually Krugloff wearing number 6.
It is Krugloff. And looks like Chepikov doesn't really want to be leading this, but he has to go with it. He would lose more time than pulling over to the side to let another athlete pass.
So a lead group of 5 here in Pokljuka. Just 1 shoot to go. That's coming up right after this break. And, well, who's your choice for a winner out of this leading group? Maybe someone else will come up from behind. Rojkov getting closer and closer to the leaders, only 6.1 seconds down at the last checkpoint, and he looks to have closed down on the leaders again. There he is at the back of this group. Sergei Chepikov has done Rojkov a favour, Mike, by controlling the pace at the front.
He has, but he's giving Poiré the opportunity. Look at Poiré, and he'll take any opportunity. He is closing the gap. It was 21. Going to be a little bit less than 21 now.
Well, he's just blasting past Andy Bernbacher at the moment, but Poiré, how much energy is he expending? What's the work rate going to be like when he comes into the range? I think the one noticeable thing about this course here in Pokljuka, that long descent really does give you an opportunity to bring the pulse down to around 120, maybe even 110, and then just put in some nice easy work on the flats before you shoot.
That is the big issue in this course. You really can push yourself over the limit on this climb. You still feel it when you get down onto the flats. You have to work into the range, although it is one of the easiest entries to any of the World Cup ranges that we see this season.
So where's your money, Mike?
I still feel good about Poiré. I think he had the fastest shoot time of 24 seconds in the previous visit. And he really is, he's focused. But then you've got Chepi, Eckhoff, Fischer.
Yeah, I think we're looking at Fischer, who's such a good finisher. He won't give away 10 seconds to Poiré if he goes clear on the chute. And one of those leaders surely has got to go clear. We've got 5 men in contention here. Rozhkov having his worst shooting day for the last 3 weeks. Maybe that will continue. Maybe he'll pull himself together as we prepare for the last shoot. Chepikov has been working hard. He's not as quick as most of these men now. He's a solid performer, very consistent. But I think Chepi might have just overdone it. What about Kruglov? He could come through.
Well, we know Kruglov's shooting is one of the best. He has missed one on this first prone, but 0-0 after that. Looking further down, the only other athlete, Sven Fischer, hit the perfect 15 out of 15. Issa from Japan, 13th position. Delighted to see that. Another flag, and the Japanese up there in the top 15.
So just a couple of minutes to go before this all-important final shoot, and we have never had a group this size coming in evens. A number of athletes have been lapped now, but that was inevitable. A little bit of news on the British athletes, Tom Clements and Mark Walker, both qualifying for this pursuit, the first time they've achieved that this season, but not a good start for either on the range.
Yes, Tom's down, still good, 43rd at the moment after the third shoot. He's out on the track now. Mark Walker hasn't come through the third shoot yet.
As yet, but missed targets in the prone. In fact, Tom Clements has hit 13 out of 15, so to be fair, that's not a bad performance from him. And if he can stay in the top, if he can get himself into the top 40, that would be an excellent day. Now, up the front, Chepikov, Rozhkov, Fischer, Kruglov, Eckhoff, and Poiré chasing hard to get on terms. Here he comes. We'll settle on the mats in just a moment. First miss from Kruglov, the young Russia. Chepikov has thrown one wide as well. Rozhkov still clear. Fischer throws his first miss, and a chance for Rozhkov to go out again in the front. He's done exactly that, and all the others have penalty loops to do. This is Poiré's opportunity, but he's missed, and Andy Bernbacher still clear. Can he get himself in the top 3? For the second race in succession. Down it goes, 5 out of 5 for Bernbacher, and the German is on for a personal best once again. Third on Wednesday, and looking very good for a top 2, but he's going to have to ski his heart out if he's going to hold off the likes of Fischer, Poiré. What a position to be in, and a real opportunity for Bernbacher now to prove what he is made of. Number 5, Vincent Defrain, has faded. He clears all the targets in the last of the standings, but he's left himself with too much to do. It won't be a win for Defrain today. Out goes Poiré, 34 seconds down, and Mike, that is too much. The penalty loop here in Pokljuka taking considerably longer than the one we saw in Ruhpolding and Antolz. Do you think it's longer, or do you think it's just the design?
It's the design. It's definitely the same 150 metres, but you need to take that bottom corner a little bit wider, which puts it to about 22-23 seconds, this penalty loop.
Oh, Rozhkov. Down goes the leader, and Rozhkov has thrown away valuable seconds. Well, shades of Lars Berger there, who we mentioned earlier, was on for a win, certainly a silver medal in the men's 15-kilometre at the Nordic World Championships. Took a fall off camera. No one saw it, but we heard about it afterwards. And Berger missing out on the opportunity to win.
Well, that's going to unsettle Rozhkov. Yeah, the last thing you want to do is put your ski poles in between your skis, trip up. He had 14 seconds on Bernbacher. I think it's down to about 9 seconds now.
Or less. Bernbacher skiing well. He will have seen that. He was in the background, and Bernbacher isn't assured a top 2 position, because on his tail, and coming through very fast indeed, is Nikolai Kruglov, wearing number 6. So we could see another good result from Kruglov. Nine times he's been in the top 4, never won, but I don't think he's got the legs to catch Rozhkov here.
It doesn't look that way, but Bernbacher and Kruglov, both very young, 23-year-old each, to be doing so well here today in Pokljuka.
Less than 1,500 metres to go now until the finish. Interesting emails coming in, Mike. One in particular from Kate Emerson, who's a runner, saying how on earth do they manage to keep this work rate going throughout the season, and why don't they taper for the World Championships? What would you say about that?
I agree very much so. There's only now 14 days to the World Championships. They've had these 3 incredible weeks of racing, and there's very limited time to pull your form back down, build a base again, and then do your interval work.
But they they will cut down on some of the interval work to try and bring the form up for the World Championships. But I think one of the factors is that with skiing you don't get all the micro trauma in the muscles that you get with running. You don't get stiff legs after a race. The lats and the triceps, the muscles that you use for the double poling, they sometimes suffer if it's an icy course. But on the whole, it's a smooth action, and the body can recover a little quicker.
I think you're right there. It's an overall body workout, stomach, back, arms, as you say, which takes a lot of the stress away from your legs when you compare it to running.
And glycogen levels, do you think they get depleted? Not if the diet's good. The races aren't really that long.
And not really. You're storing 2,000 carbs in your muscles. You have energy stored in your muscles each day, so you are depleting them on a daily basis. But look at this hill. Krugloff is catching Bernbacher, and Poiré is desperate to catch both of them.
Rojkov still with the lead despite that fall. Bernbacher has lost about 7-8 metres to Nikolai Krugloff, who's turning it on now. Krugloff senses that this is his opportunity to get his first ever win. I'm sure his dad is watching this. Anatoly, who of course is a double Olympic champion, who'll be so proud to see his son moving up into second place. Great bit of skiing from the youngster, and now he's on the scent of Rojkov. 3.4 seconds. Well, what was the difference as they came out of the range? It's been a fantastic ski from Krugloff to overtake Bernbacher, and pressure now on the leader. 18 seconds he was behind. He's made up 15 already, but he knows he's got to catch him before the top of the hill. Poiré, 33 down, now 19. He's making advances and now threatening Berger's podium position. Sven Fischer, well, I was wrong. He cannot stay with the Frenchman on this last loop, and Vincent de Fran might a poor start, but he's recovered well.
He's made an amazing comeback, largely to his good shooting on the last shoot. Fischer's skis are the best on the downhill on the previous loop, so he may well catch up to Poiré.
Eckhoff, not a bad run in the top 10. Just quickly before we have the finale, Mike, who would you put in the Norwegian team for the sprint event? Which four?
For the World Champs, Ole Einar Bjørndalen, I would put Eckhoff, Hannevold and Andersen.
And Andersen, not Berger.
Not Berger. Andersen's had 3 second places this season in the sprint, so I would, Norwegians want medals, and he is capable of getting medals. Well, on his good day.
Exactly, that's my point. I would put Bjørndalen, Berger and Andersen, because one of those two surely will go well. That increases your chances of getting golds and silvers, and then it's a choice between Hannevold, Kjelland and Eckhoff. Well, back to the race, and all the action down the bottom. Looks as though Rojkov has been overtaken. He has been overtaken, and coming through Nikolai Krugloff, who flew up the hill. Somehow he's recovered on the downhill, and he's got a lead of 20 metres or so over Rojkov, who's now in trouble from Bernbacher, who's finishing well.
Unbelievable. That was an amazing move from Krugloff. He just got on the tail of Rojkov's skis at the top of the hill. His skis are gliding a little bit better, but what a focus, what a push he's putting into the last 500-600 metres.
Well, if any man deserves a victory this season, it is Nikolai Krugloff. Started the season brilliantly. He had a couple of bad results mid-season, but he put that down to ski preparation, saying he just hadn't learned how to cope and prepare for the artificial snow. But what a run he's had here. 17 seconds down when he left the range for the last time. He's blasted that last 2.5 kilometre loop, and Nikolai Krugloff has got the first of what we think is going to be many wins in the World Cup. Rojkov in second again. He's having a tremendous run of form. He'll hold on to 4th place in the World Cup standings, and Andy Bernbacher third for the second race in succession.
And the Germans, they have another star. Bernbacher is the man of the moment.
Poiré celebrates because he knows he's held on to the yellow bib by finishing in front of Sven Fischer, but only by 1 place. A couple of points between them today. And Vincent de Fran, who started in 5th place, finishes 6th. Chepikov comes in 7th. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, Chepi. He had an opportunity here today. And Stian Eckhoff, 33 seconds down, having missed 3 targets. 1 less miss could have meant victory for Stian Eckhoff, but that's the way it goes. It hasn't happened. Mickey Grice, 9th position, so Germany 3 in the top 9.
Well, look at Mickey Grice. He's made 9th from a start position of 35th. I mean, that has to be the best time of the day. He started 2 minutes behind, and Grice has finished only 50 seconds. What a performance.
Frode Anderson, Mike, all started well with that first clear shoot, but then he missed 3 on the first standing. He's still got a top 10 result, proving that when he does get the shooting right, he's certainly still a potential winner. We always knew that. Chudov, another youngster from Russia, 13th position. My goodness, their tactics of introducing the youngsters this season is really paying off.
Chudov from 31st, he started today up to 13th. They really are coming into form now with 2 weeks to go. And there's Isa from Japan.
Clear shoot on the day, first to have achieved that, and I think the only one to achieve that. We'll check that in just a minute. 14th, having started 17, 2 of his best results of the season. Isa, he hasn't quite got the ski speed, but with that sort of a performance, I think he's going to mature over the next few weeks. Rotman, 15th, Mike. Unusually missing targets in the prone. Suddenly he hits them all in the standing.
Look at this, coming into the finish together. Good teamwork. Can they make it equal? I'm not sure.
Well, it's confused the computer anyway, who thought they were just seeing a double. But number 15 was Alexander Aubert, who's a new name on the French team. Did an excellent run, got a PP 2 days ago, and he is one of those canards, but we're not sure which one. Mickey Roche, 20th position. Is that good enough to make yourself part of the German quartet in the sprint?
I think so. His recent form has been well up there, and again 20th today. Well, that puts him 5th German, but it's still a respectable result.
Well, Hannevold, who is usually so secure in the pursuit event, has had a bit of a nightmare. Dropped down to 22nd position, having started in 8th. But what about Alexander Simon, who was the talk of the town 2 days ago by winning the sprint? He's dropped from 1st down to 21st with 4 misses on the day.
That's a big drop-off for Simon, 2 minutes 27 behind. But Kruglov, there is no happier man in Slovenia than Kruglov. 23-year-old, his first victory.
Well, he has a point at the skis, and there is no doubt that his skis were considerably faster than poor old Rozhkov, who was overtaken on that last downhill stretch and really had no chance of staying with Kruglov. But it is part of the game. If you win a race, you point at the skis because that keeps your sponsors happy. But I think we saw enough evidence to know that that was the case today. All set running Burke, and finishing in 34, 35 and 36th position. So a very cute finish by 2 of the French competitors, Canard and Aubert. They came across the line together, but way down off the pace set by the number 1 today, Nikolai Kruglov of Russia. The winning time today, 34 minutes, 29 seconds. Mike and I had a little wager on what the winning time would be.
Well, I think you're closer actually, Patrick. Go on.
For a change. So, great news for the Russian team, Mike. They've made huge advances in both the men and the women's over the last couple of weeks. Can they keep this sort of form going for the next 2 weeks and take titles when it comes to the World Champs in Hochfilzen?
I think they can. There's Grigorev coming through for Russia. There's a whole new group of different names coming into form. They haven't been performing so well. Chudov being one, Grigorov, that's a reasonable result from him. I think they're well lined up for medals a couple of weeks' time at the World Champs.
Well, so that's just completed our coverage from Pokljuka for today. Sorry it was so brief and that we had a late arrival, but I hope it didn't ruin your enjoyment of the event here. Great day for the Russians, with Nikolai Kruglov taking the win ahead of Rozhkov of Russia and Andy Bernbacher of Germany in 3rd. So Mike, quick conclusion, man of the day?
Yeah, Kruglov for me, the man of the day. The 23-year-old, he's taken his first victory today, and the future's very bright for him.
Okay, so that's the end of the men's pursuit, fast and furious. We've got the same coming up tomorrow, the women's pursuit, starting a little later, 14:15 local time, so that's 1:15 if you're watching in the UK. Hope you join us for that, but for now...